So this is a what if idea that I had for a pretty long time. Now guys, basically by the time this video is uploaded, it's probably gonna come out by the time Marvel House comes out. Now Marvel House, if you don't know, I'm gonna be grinding on my action figure part, or like, my collector's part of my channel, because my channel is about stop motion, but I've been doing a lot of what ifs because what ifs are easier to make. But I'm just gonna be doing this what if. And also, guys, just warning, I'm going to be totally grinding on my what ifs that aren't gotta do with my hero. So, on my Hero Academia what ifs are gonna be delayed, and then I'm just gonna be doing a bunch of Young Justice what ifs, Invincible what ifs, and also the other what ifs. So, guys, basically, if you have any Young Justice what if ideas, go in the comments, just tell me, or any Invincible what if ideas. So yeah, and also any MCU what if ideas or whatever. So basically, I'm going to be grinding on my action figure part of my channel and stop motions. Basically, mainly I'm going to be doing only versus stop motions, at least making them at least like 6 or like 5 minutes long. So basically, I'm also going to be uploading a lot of comedy skits and shorts of my action figures. Mainly, going to be in the form of, Spider-Man's Weird Questions or Spider-Man's Questions. I'm going to be bringing back that series. I made it long back before I went like hard on my what ifs. But yeah, so basically, hope you guys enjoy this video. Hope you guys like it, subscribe, and let's get into it, guys. So, guys, this is what if, well, Robin was a vampire. Now, I have done a what if werewolves are in Young Justice. Now, I am toying around the idea, maybe, what if Aqualad was turned into a werewolf, or Robin was turned into a werewolf, or whatever. Basically, this is going to be what if Robin was a vampire. Now, this is going to be off of only, Dick Grayson's Robin. So, by the time Dick Grayson's Robin turns into Nightwing and leaves the Young Justice, I'm probably going to be ending off the series. So yeah, so guys, basically, this is what if Robin was a vampire, part 1. Now, I have done a werewolf what if, and I'm still going to be doing that. So yeah, I'm also going to be doing what if, what was I think it was, what if, what if Geoforce had the Toon Force, but most likely I won't be doing that. So guys, let's get into it. Or I was gonna do what if the mask was in Young Justice, and what season should you guys? What season should that be in? So yeah, so let's get into it. So what if Robin was a vampire? Now I'm gonna be starting off with episode 1, and before episode 1. So before episode 1, or before the big day of the Young Justice, or Aqualad, Kid Flash, Speedy, and Robin were being taken to the Hall of Justice. Night, basically Robin, about a week before that, was on patrol alone, and Batman pretty much was somewhere else. I don't know. So basically, Robin was on patrol going around the city, and basically he was grappling hooking, and it would be about that night would be about would be the half moon, or the sea moon type thing. So Robin would have been swinging around, being patrolled, taking down some mugs, or taking down some, goons then and there, eventually coming across one goon that was very different than the others. That was supernatural, by say. So basically, Robin would have went down there and would have stopped, well, this would be like a transaction, or, a deal. So basically, Robin would have staked it there and take down all the guards, not the guards, all the pretty much thugs and everything, eventually coming across their ringleader. Their ringleader basically looking at Robin, smirking, "Where's the bat?" Now, Robin would have said, "I'm doing this solo," and pretty much taking out his batarangs, using them as knives, charging towards the, well, ringleader. The ringleader would have grabbed him from the throat and would have thrown him through a whole entire wall. He would have super speed through the wall, telling Robin, and his eyes turning bright red, telling him, "Let's see how the Batman thinks of you when you became a monster like me." Robin's confused, and the man grabs Robin and makes him, well, pretty much drink out of his wrist. Robin tries to punch the man in the chest or rip it, but pretty much just try to get him off of him, tasing him. But the man just keeps on going through all the pain he's going through after Robin keeps on stabbing him and trying to get him off of him. Now Robin eventually passes out, but looking up when he falls onto the ground, drinking the man's blood, and the man snaps Robin's neck. Robin falls onto the ground, and Robin wakes up the next morning, very much looking around in the basically in the room or warehouse he was thrown into, walking out of the pretty much room, seeing that his skin is becoming really sensitive to the sun, seeing that his skin was slightly turned red and started to burn when he touched the sun. Robin was confused and started to get away. Now he had some sort of difficulty getting out of the sun, and pretty much Robin, being Robin, had some pretty much ripped up tarps in the warehouse, so he put him around his body and started to run towards Wayne Manor and sneak in there. Batman was waiting for Robin, and basically Robin told Batman, "I don't know what's happening to me." Batman looks closer and sees as Robin's skin is burning as soon as he gets inside the Wayne Manor after getting touched by the sun. Now, over the weeks, Robin and Batman come to the conclusion that Robin has been turned into a vampire. Now, Batman tries to cure Robin, but nothing's to avail. And this is going to be part of time when I explain vampire abilities or the powers of this DC Universe's vampires. Now, basically, Robin's vampire abilities are going to be like a mixture between Vampire Diaries and other vampire abilities. So, Robin will have the generic vampire abilities like super speed, increased superhuman strength, agility, compulsion, also having the weakness of sunlight, and the stake to the heart. Also, Robin would have superhuman healing, but his healing would become way faster when he drinks blood. And Robin would also Robin would be able to have a superhuman or like magic abilities, kind of like Twilight vampires. Yes, I'm pulling that line. So basically, Robin would have the ability to actually look look about an hour into the future, not like into the future like years or anything, just an hour before it happened. So Robin could basically be the fastest thing, because like Robin would basically be impossible to hit or nearly impossible to hit even with a super speed. But now him knowing every move a person makes would be difficult. Basically, it would be difficult for them to hit Robin. But also another term, Robin would have some pretty much changes to his body. Robin would be the same height and same body type, whatever. But Robin would have, wouldn't have pale skin. Robin would have red eyes. Now he would have like, Twilight red eyes or whatever. Basically, his eyes wouldn't change. He'd just have red eyes. So he would have red eyes, and also he would have, when he gets angry or like when he loses control, Robin would pretty much grow fangs, and his eyes would turn bright red, like his whole, like Vampire Diaries, vampire eyes, and also his fangs would come out, and also he would have black nails or claws for his fingernails. And also, Robin would his skin would turn pale when he loses control, when he drinks uncontrollably. But Robin would have incredible control over it, because Batman would have been training him, telling him not to drink blood, and basically Robin, he would drink basically bagged blood, or like blood from pretty much, like blood from animals and stuff like that. So basically, Robin would still be at strength, but he wouldn't be as strong as a vampire that would actually drink human blood. So he would be weaker than other vampires. And also, other vampires will be a thing in this What If. And it'll be like a whole entire vampire, legion, or like a society that would be more powerful than the light, and stuff like that. So basically, Robin would have been training himself, seeing that he had all the abilities of a vampire. Now, basically, Robin one day would have tried to fly, jumping from a cliff or from a long, like a really high point in the Batcave, and would have turned into a bat. Basically, well, not turning into a bat, into multiple bats, like a swarm, kind of like the Dracula movie type swarm bats. So Robin would have only been able to do, what was it listed out? The normal abilities like super speed, super strength, super healing, compulsion, agility, also super senses, and able to basically pick up people's heat signatures and also be able to smell people's blood and hear their heartbeats. Also, Robin would have what was it? Robin would also have the ability to transform into pretty much a swarm of bats and also into mist, and that was basically it. And Robin would also have the ability to look an hour into the future. And also he would still be he would still have weaknesses to sunlight. Garlic would have just shown Robin his true colors of his pale skin, his black nails, his fangs, and his reddish black eyes. So that was basically Garlic just showed vampires what they truly were. And basically for holy water, it didn't do anything. And for stakes, it just turned them into dust when you stab them in the heart. And for what was it? I think it was something else. Vampire weakness. No, I think that was it. So yeah. So basically you got churches. Robbing can go into churches is no big deal. Now let's get into it, guys. Now basically you would start off the big day. The big day, Robin taking down Mr. Freeze. Basically Robin at Mr. Freeze, Robin would have jumped behind Mr. Freeze. And basically, over the weeks, Batman did find a way to counteract the whole entire sunlight thing. So Robin had the same outfit as he did originally, but it would have some sort of, the Robin logo would be more, a little bit like an inch bigger in like all ways, like a little bit like an inch bigger. And basically the logo would have actually put a very thin force field that would actually block out UV rays, letting Robin go into the sunlight. That would be his suit version. Now, for Robin's whole entire civilian clothes, Robin would have a daylight ring because Batman would have made a tech-based one, and this daylight ring would have still used the same force field technology that Robin's suit uses. So it basically be like a force field, the same length or the same texture or skin tight fill of his suit. So basically, it would cover around his body like what was it? Basically, like another like invisible patch of skin or another suit that you couldn't feel, but it would block out the UV rays. So it would work pretty well. Basically, Robin would basically walk out and throw a couple batarangs at Mr. Freeze. Mr. Freeze trying to freeze Robin, but Robin moving out of the way super fast, like super speed fast, basically punching Mr. Freeze in the dome head, knocking him out cold. Basically, Batman showing up, seeing that Robin took out the threat pretty quickly. Now, Robin was looking around, seeing everybody and hearing everybody's heartbeats and him losing control. Not really losing control, but him just getting a little bit agonized because he couldn't, do anything about it. Because Batman would have, scolded him or tried to take him out. So, the only thing Robin could have done is just run away from all the people that were there at the park. Now, they would have shown up at the Hall of Justice, Robin having a smirk on his face, and basically none of the other Justice Leaguers or villains knew Robin was a vampire, except for the villain or the ringleader that turned Robin. Now, basically, Robin would have memorized everything that happened to him that night. Basically, the man that turned him having bright red hair, red eyes, and also being very buff, like a type of like Batman buff, like the same build as Batman in Young Justice, but just with completely white skin, red eyes, fangs, and bright red hair. Like, I mean, like, what was it? I mean, like, I mean, like blood bright hair. So yeah, blood red hair. So that was the man that turned Robin. Now we're gonna get into the whole entire vampire society thing later on in the what if. But yeah, so basically Robin would have they would have been shown into the Young Justice, or like basically the waiting room of the Hall of Justice, and basically Speedy would have still argued with the Justice League, would have still argued with the Justice League and basically tell them, as well, the Young Justice, Aqualad, Kid Flash, and Robin about the whole entire thing up into the sky, the Watchtower, and how they're keeping everything away from us. Basically, Green Arrow being looked at by the rest of the Justice League. Basically, him saying, "I thought it'd be okay to tell him." And basically, they would have been confused and also conflicted, not really knowing what to think. Speedy just quitting, throwing his hat on the ground, saying, "I'm out of here." Robin would have actually stopped Speedy. Basically, Robin telling Speedy not to do this. Now, Robin's red eyes would have been covered up by his mask. Basically, Speedy would have told Robin to get off of him now, smacking his hand away, but Robin, using his super speed or his vampire abilities, to grab Speedy from the throat, saying, "Don't ever do that again." Basically, him losing control and also his fangs being shown. Speedy seeing his fangs, but not seeing, Robin's eyes, but seeing black veins, the tips of black veins coming under his mask. Speedy being confused, but Robin throwing Speedy, saying to get away now. Run if you want to. Basically, Speedy walks out of the room, shutting the door, being confused what he just saw. Now, Batman would have pulled Robin aside, telling Robin, "What have you done?" Basically, Robin saying he didn't say anything. Even if he did, I could just make him forget. Now, Batman got angry, saying, "You never, ever take somebody's memories away. That's a violation of somebody's personal right to know the truth." Then basically Robin says okay. Robin being a little bit more cool-headed now after, Batman stopped him. Now basically for some reason Robin has no thirst for Batman's blood at all. For some reason Batman's blood isn't appetizing to any vampire, so I'm gonna do that. So basically Robin is told by Batman to stay here and to not lose control. Now basically Robin did have a failsafe in his outfit that he didn't know of. Batman did have a failsafe to control the sunlight rays, or the sunlight stopping UV ray force field around his suit. Basically, turning it off so if Robin was ever in the sunlight, attacking people would be able to lose control. He could be, stopped. So basically, Robin and the rest of the team, or the rest of the Young Justice, went off without Speedy, and actually Robin would have still, pretty much talked to them, and would have hacked into Katniss and would have told them, "Let's pay Katniss a little visit." Basically, them going to Katniss, and now Robin would have still just went into the basically room, or just sneak into the room, still hacking into the mainframe or the computers of Katniss, basically telling them, "Let's go." Now, basically, what was it? Aqualad would have still saw the alien creature go into the elevator and then following after. Robin would have still hacked into the elevator, opening it up and going down the shaft. Now, he would actually just jump down the shaft, not using his grappling hook, just jumping down. And basically, because, I'm gonna be pulling, an underworld vampire thing. Basically, Robin can jump super high, like underworld vampires, and also he doesn't have any fall damage, so he can just jump from any height and fall down perfectly, and not have any fall damage at all. So yeah, so basically that's why the whole superhuman agility kicks in. Basically, Robin goes down the shaft and they start exploring, and they eventually come across the whole entire herd of aliens going down the halls. The aliens that look kind of like mammoths, or elephants. Sorry, I can't speak today. Elephants, and they would have gone on like cannon, basically going around. Now the team would have the group would have came across the pretty much alien like or pretty much electricity based type of aliens or creatures that were basically in the near the lower area of the basically place. Now, basically, they would have been looking around saying that Katniss was off the grid because they were using these aliens or these creatures to power their energy, their electricity, and all other stuff. Now, basically, they would have been caught on and stopped by pretty much the Guardian, or not really stopped, but just got caught by the Guardian. The Guardian being told by one of the pretty much probes or one of the aliens to basically fight them and take them out. But basically, they would have started fighting the Young Justice, or the soon to be Young Justice, and they would have started to fight. Now, Robin would have dominated the fight against Sportsmaster. Sportsmaster basically fighting Robin for the majority of the fight. Now, but pretty much the Guardian would have been throwing punches towards Robin dodging them pretty quickly, punching the Guardian in the face and the chest and multiple types of stuff. Him dodging all of his attacks and him seeing through the whole entire fog, seeing where everybody was at. Basically, him throwing the Guardian into the ground, knocking him out cold for the rest of the whole entire episode or the rest of the entire pretty much was it Minier? Sorry, for the rest of the episode or the rest of the series. So basically, he would have been knocked out cold, being thrown on the ground like John Cena style, and he would have super speeded it out, grabbing grabbing Aqualad and super speeding it out. Now, vampires aren't as fast as speedsters, but they're fast enough to be, give a speedster a good time or like a good race. So basically, So basically, Kid Flash would have been speeded out of the room after them losing the. They would have ran off, going down into the lower levels of the base, them running off and seeing that the base, or running into the horned alien creature, basically Robin saying to get out now, basically him throwing multiple things with telekinetic abilities towards the team. They eventually would have came across the basically room, Robin jumping into the room, but also holding it open for the rest of the team, for Aqualad and for Kid Flash. Now basically he would have let go, not being strong enough to keep the door open anymore, him closing the door, jumping out of the way. Now basically Robin would have been looking around, and they would have looked around and would have discovered Superboy. And basically, Kid Flash would have decided maybe we should let him out, and basically they would know about Superboy and everything. Not everything, just know that he was a clone of Superman from the database or from the computer that was in the room with Superboy. Now they would have let open or freed Superboy, but Superboy would have woken up from his slumber and basically would have been told by the probes or the aliens or the xenomorphs, I don't know, pretty much to take down the people that were in the room with him. And basically, he would have ran towards the team trying to knock him out. Now, basically, Robin would have been dodging most of all of Superboy's attacks. Basically, Robin would have been, was it? Not Robin, but Superboy would have been folding, what was it? Aqualad, but Robin would have grabbed onto pretty much Superboy, throwing him around like a straight up, just throwing him around. Now, basically, Robin would have been punching Superboy. Superboy mainly feeling the punches, but Robin feeling more pain than punch, or more, pain than Superboy was, because Superboy was still slightly invulnerable. But basically, Robin started to get punched around and thrown around by Superboy. But Superboy eventually was confused after Robin transformed into a swarm of bats, alongside, Kid Flash and Aqualad were confused at what Robin done. Robin turned into a swarm of basically bats swarming around and flying around. Basically, Superboy grabbing one of the swarms of bats. Pretty much Nightwing Oh no, Robin getting transformed back into his human form or his normal form, seeing that pretty much Superboy grabbed onto pretty much what was it? Uh, I think it was Robin's leg into this bat swarm. Him throwing Robin around like Hulk did to Loki. Him just getting thrown around like a rag doll. I mean, like Robin was getting folded. So Robin started to get thrown into walls left and right and was thrown into the computer that was in the room, him getting knocked out. Not base or slightly knocked out, as it seems. After pretty much like after Aqualad was like folded, basically Superboy opened up the door and would have let Katniss in. Now basically the Young Justice would have still put under captivity and basically would have been, well, pretty much Katniss would have talked to the light, but them being told to just clone the, well, group or team, and would have just, well, was about to clone them and just kill the originals. Now, basically, they would have found out some sort of thing near the end of them trying to clone them, or basically them actually starting earlier. One of the aliens seems to be different with pretty much Robin. Them grabbing Robin's pretty much DNA, testing it, and seeing that his DNA was very different from basically human DNA, incredibly different from any alien DNA as well. His blood or his DNA feed basically the DNA could only survive off of blood or well, constant blood taking or taken or like eating blood. So basically, they were confused. They also saw that his DNA was incredibly sensitive towards sunlight. So they were confused. Now, basically, at this point, Robin's suit was kind of damaged to a point where his force field that blocked off the sunlight was damaged, so parts of his body would be exposed to sunlight. So they would have. Now we switch off to episode 2, fireworks. So let's continue. Basically, Superboy would have been walking around and getting that whole entire talk with the rest of the team, but the rest of the team being tortured or electrocuted. But them seeing that Robin's pain or Robin's reaction with the electricity was very stunned, or the electricity that he was pretty much taking in, or they boost electricity more than a human could take to try to take down Robin or kill him. But seeing that the electricity wasn't doing that much, it did shock Robin, and he did feel pain, but they saw that Robin's reaction to electricity or the shock should be more than it was. Pretty much them being very confused and why Robin isn't feeling that much pain like the rest of the team, like the rest of their group, or the rest of, like Super, I don't know, Kid Flash and Aqualad. Because Kid Flash and Aqualad was reacting the same, but they saw that Robin was not reacting at all. Robin's eyes started to turn redder, and his veins, or his black veins, became clear, and his mask was about to fall off when his skin turned pale and he was about to break through the chains, or the pretty much gauntlets. Until that happened, Superboy jumped in, pulling off the door, basically, well, taking down Katniss or betraying Katniss. Now, basically, the electricity would have turned off, Robin breaking through the cuffs that he was in, trying to break through the glass. Now he would have been in his true form because he would have smelled the blood of the human scientist, and his claws would have became black. Or no, his nails would have became black, and they would have grown into claws. And basically, he would have been cutting himself a hole into the glass, and he would have gotten out the glass, pretty much breaking the rest of his group out of the glass, or the pretty much stuff that was holding them in. And Superboy and them would have scattered or pretty much ran out of the Katniss trying to escape. Now, basically, Robin would have been running down and would have saw one of the aliens. They would have grabbed one of the aliens, trying to compulsion it to tell them how to get out. Now, he would have seen that the alien wasn't saying anything. It was just, well, dumbfounded. Or not really dumbfounded. Because compulsion does slightly work on aliens, But it doesn't really work on aliens. You can't tell them to do anything. It just makes them brain dead for about a couple seconds, or makes them pretty much um, mobilized or not being able to move or think at all for a couple minutes. So Robin's confused, but just throws the alien to the ground, saying, "Let's go." Basically, them running off. Now, by the time before any of them solve, Robin's true colors or his power or his like abilities or his vampire form, he was back into normal, and basically they started to sprint off. Now they would have started to run down the elevator shaft or try to go down the elevator shaft. Robin just jumping down, but getting stopped when he just flies with his pretty much swarm of bats going down. Now Kid Flash and Nightwing would have actually, Kid Flash and pretty much Aqualad would have actually accused or tried to tell, well, Robin, how are you doing that? And basically, Kid Flash is saying, I knew you and Batman were vampires. Now, basically, Robin says, I'm not. Robin smirks and says, Batman's not a vampire, but I am. Basically, him kicking down the door instead of hacking it or just, well, Superboy done it. He just kicks down the door and starts going down the vents. Basically, they start going into the vents, and they pretty much Robin tricks or hacks into the motion sensors, making them follow their group instead of, um, theirs or ours. Basically, they eventually come across a closed doors and get ambushed by the aliens. And bro, are you serious, man? Sorry, guys. I just paused it and repaused it, but I paused like a couple minutes of recording. But I'm just gonna re-say it. So basically, what happened is Robin was crushed under some rubble. Blah blah blah. He almost died, and he was technically dead, or like the rest of the Justice League thought he died when the whole entire building started to crash down. They thought he died, seeing that his clothes were ripped up, and also that his body wasn't beating or moving, and his heartbeat was completely gone. That's how you know. That's how basically what was it? Superman saw it after Robin came back from dead after him getting a pint of blood from Batman. Batman sneakily putting it into Robin's mouth. Robin waking up, basically them being confused. But Superman would have gone straight towards Superboy, looking at him, seeing what was going on. Superboy would have told Superman that he was his clone, and basically he would be confused. Now, they would have still talked, but they also would have talked about Robin. Now, basically, Batman would have been told by Superman what is up with Robin. Now, basically, they would have not been talking about Robin that much. They would have mainly be talking about Superboy and the new kid. Basically, them saying, we'll find out, a way for you, or a solution for your living problems. Basically, them, well, being slightly scalded by the Justice League, but them not being told that much, or not being scolded that much. Now, the day before the whole entire, the team was took into Mount Justice, or the the Justice League cave. Basically, they would have been talking about, Robin, and basically Superman and the rest of the Justice League was talking about Robin and what even is he now. Basically, Superman telling everybody that I know his heart stopped and he did die. So what's going on, Batman? Now, Batman told them that it's just, his heart just stopped and it restarted. It was no big deal. Him talking very quickly and him not really showing any signs of, well, worry or, well, anything. Him just saying that it's nothing big deal. Superman would have been screaming, or would have pretty much slammed his hand on the table or the desk or whatever they were talking. The Hall of Justice. But they were saying, "Stop lying to me, Batman. What is Robin now?" And basically, Batman would have told him that was one night on patrol he did alone, and he was turned into a vampire. They would have been talking more and more, basically them coming to the conclusion that if Robin ever killed anybody, that would be the end. and that's why. And Batman told him, or told Superman that I told him that. And basically, they would have been coming to the conclusion that Robin can, still be with the Young Justice and would still be, treated like a sidekick and would have still been treated like the same. Now, basically, them very much being confused on how Robin's abilities would change his crime fighting thing, but Batman is saying that he's been better at crime fighting and he's been a lot more smoother and cleaner, and he's been the most trained vampire. He's not once more lost control. Now, basically, we were going to switch back to Mount Justice the next day after the Justice League come to the conclusion that Robin is fine, but if he ever slipped up, we have to talk about this more and see what we should do about him. Now, basically, we continue, and basically they would be switched back to the Mount Justice, and basically they get told about Mount Justice. It was originally the original base of the Justice League, and also being told that basically this would be their base and their areas where they would be living in and all other stuff. Now, basically, pretty much, Grayson, because he was in his normal civilian clothes. Basically, no, he was in, I think, yeah. So basically, Robin would have been looking around and would have been introduced by his new teammate. What was it? Would have been introduced to Megan. Now, basically, they would be confused, but they would be stopped when basically they get told that, a couple Justice Leaguers have volunteered to train you on the other stuff. On near the end, we get switched back to Katniss and the same conversation, but Katniss getting told that the boy named Robin, the sidekick of Batman, has some sort of DNA that's very, very confusing. Now, the Light has never seen anything like vampire DNA, and basically no one knew about the vampire DNA because the alien kept it a secret, but he was very intrigued on what, Robin was. Now we could switch from the Light back to, not really back to, but to a different meeting with the same man or the ringleader that turned Robin. Basically, him going into a room and him sitting down. Basically, him looking around and him looking around near his other pretty much people or peers, and him getting introduced as, well, Dracula. Now, basically, that would be Dracula, and, well, Robin would be different from other vampires because he would be turned by one of the strongest and oldest vampires to ever live. Now, basically, Dracula would have told his pretty much round table of salutants that the vampire community is going into chaos. No, not chaos. It's going into shambles because the war with the, and we're gonna get it off there. So, guys, what should be the vampires' pretty much conflict in the vampire society for now on? And it's basically just gonna be a war against two supernatural forces, the vampires and the what should be. So basically, that's all I'm gonna end off there, guys. So I'll see you guys later. Bye. As always, guys, have a blessed day. Deuces.